You know, the White House is more than just a building. It's more than 18 acres of land in Washington, D.C. It's the place where Americans look for leadership during the darkest nights and the brightest dawns. It's a commitment to the Republic and to our sacred Constitution. Unemployment is at 98% under Joe Biden. Best debate prep since Lincoln. And a loaf of gasoline costs $84 a pound. What about schools, sir? Let them eat, bootstraps. Meanwhile, Trump is throwing temper tantrums and Elon is playing with his rockets. Melania Trump just stares. The Lincoln Project's new ads show her as basically furniture with expensive shoes. Is this fair? Is this accurate? Or is it the most brilliant satirical take ever? I've analyzed all these ads frame by frame, and what they say about Melania might be the most devastating commentary of all. Forget the obvious Trump jokes. It's the silent, unblinking portrayal of Melania that reveals something much deeper about America's strangest political marriage. Before we move on, I'd like to ask a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a big difference for us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now back to the video. You might have noticed something strange in these Lincoln Project ads. While Trump is having a nuclear meltdown and Elon is tweeting nonsense, there's something even creepier in the background. Melania, just standing there, existing, like a fancy coat rack that occasionally blinks. The Lincoln Project has a special talent for making Melania seem like some kind of haunted Victorian portrait. They've deliberately positioned her as an eerie background presence in their ads. Watching the power grabs and illegality in Washington, it's easy to feel helpless, like there's nothing you can do. Elon Musk is praised for changing the way we drive and celebrated for sending rockets to space. But the penalties for violations are both civil and criminal. Elon Musk and his tech circle are not above the law, and a corrupt president has no power to pardon state crimes. He's using his power to do something unthinkable, cutting funding for life-saving medicine and science, shutting down cancer and Alzheimer's research, and ending efforts to treat childhood diseases. Melania isn't even a character. She's more like living furniture, and it's brilliant. Creepy as can be, but brilliant. In one of the most unsettling ads, Melania stands motionless while chaos unfolds around her. Trump is throwing one of his famous tantrums. Advisors are rushing around, papers flying. And Melania is frozen in place like a mannequin in Gucci. She doesn't react, flinch, or even seem to breathe. Just stares into the distance as the world burns around her. There's a particularly brutal moment where Trump is ranting about election fraud. Spit flying, his face turning that familiar reddish-orange shade, and the camera lingers on Melania's face. For an uncomfortably long time, she stares at a wall, her expression blank, her eyes empty. The Lincoln Project knows exactly what they're doing. It's psychological horror movie stuff. Every time Melania appears in these ads, they use strange, slow-motion effects and eerie music. Her movements seem almost supernatural in their slowness. It turns her from a former model into something ghost-like, a detached, spectral figure haunting Trump's ego palace. What makes this portrayal so compelling is how it walks a fine line between unfair character attack and uncomfortable truth. Is she really this emotionally detached, or is this just sharp political satire? The genius lies in the uncertainty. It feels just believable enough that we can't completely dismiss it. During her time in the White House, Melania's public appearances dropped by 48%. That's not just skipping a few events. That's nearly disappearing from public life. It gave satirists a treasure trove of absent First Lady content to explore. Where was she? What was she doing? Did she even want to be First Lady? The Lincoln Project uses those questions as weapons. Remember that infamous jacket she wore while visiting detained migrant children? The one that said, "I really don't care, do you? America on the move." President Trump recently announced that the Gulf of Mexico will become the Gulf of America. Can Jimmy have some freedom fries with that? Who controls the computer systems that decide if you get a tax refund, disaster relief, or Medicare benefits? Elon Musk. Republicans have turned in their game uniforms and become cheerleaders for a big, beautiful canal. Instead, we're taking it back. Cheer for Donald Trump and Elon Musk. We've got a new sheriff in town. In these ads, it's not just an unfortunate wardrobe choice, it's her entire personality. They've taken that one fashion statement and turned it into her defining character trait. The jacket becomes a signboard showing her total lack of interest in everything around her, including her husband's presidency. What's most unsettling about this portrayal is how it presents Melania as less of a victim and more like a willing presence. She's not trapped. She's choosing to remain in these spaces. Her silence isn't forced, it's chosen. That's what makes it such an effective satirical tool against Trump. Her apparent detachment says a lot about what it might be like to be married to him. The Lincoln Project understands something essential about political satire. Sometimes, the most powerful criticism isn't the loudest voice, it's the quiet one. The one who knows everything but says nothing. The one who could speak but doesn't. What does Melania know? What has she seen? What could she say if she chose to? Her silence becomes a hanging question over the entire Trump presidency. In these ads, Melania's stillness contrasts perfectly with Trump's constant movement and noise. He's always shouting, gesturing, demanding attention. She's the empty space that makes his over-the-top behavior even more noticeable. Joe Biden says he supports law and order. He says he believes in our institutions, our safety, and the rule of law. So why is Joe Biden publicly appearing on stage with a convicted felon? In January 2025, the future people were warned about will arrive. We know AI will change everything, but a more serious threat is already here. Because that day in January isn't about artificial intelligence. It's about real foolishness. It's like watching a toddler throw a tantrum while the parent just stares into space, too tired to react anymore. That contrast between Melania's stillness and Trump's outbursts isn't just uncomfortable, it's the whole point. While she stands silently in the background, the Lincoln Project portrays the former president as an out-of-control child throwing fits that would make any parent at a store pick up their child and leave. Except this child once had access to nuclear codes. These ads don't just push boundaries, they completely erase them. They show Trump with less emotional control than a kindergartner, replacing presidential behavior with sippy cups and pacifiers. It's funny until you remember this isn't just some random older man. This is a former U.S. president, shown with the emotional maturity of what the Lincoln Project calls a hungry and angry toddler. What makes these ads so effective is that they build on Trump's public behavior. We've all seen him get angry on TV, but the Lincoln Project takes it even further, showing him stomping his feet when he loses at simple games. In one harsh scene, he's shown throwing papers across a room when reports don't flatter him. It's satire that closely mirrors real life, which is why it works. Remember when Trump proudly talked about passing that cognitive test? The one where he said person, woman, man, camera, TV? The Lincoln Project turned that into something that looks like a kindergarten award. They animated Trump getting a gold star for naming basic items, while a teacher praises him like a child who just learned to tie his shoes. Meanwhile, Melania appears in the background like a fashionably dressed ghost, completely disconnected from the strange scene in front of her. The Lincoln Project gives a sarcastic salute to Vice President Donald Trump. As vice president, he'll finally have time for the things he enjoys. They say Trump knows his place. Elon is smarter, richer, more charismatic, and has a better social media platform and company. They show Trump watching old movies on his phone, admiring other men's wealth, while President Musk handles running the country. The ads get even more cutting when they show Trump having a meltdown over ice cream. Imagine the former leader of the free world, red-faced and yelling because his dessert doesn't have enough sprinkles, while his wife stares off like it's just another day at Trump Tower. It's silly, but also uncomfortably familiar for anyone who's seen Trump's public reactions. These portrayals stand out because they take Trump's personality and exaggerate it to cartoonish levels. The Lincoln Project highlights what they see as his need for attention and habit of being a poor loser. They show him pouting when crowds don't meet his expectations and throwing fits when things don't go his way. It's Trump as the country's biggest baby, a toddler in a suit who happens to be 77 years old. These ads walk a dangerous...
The line between comedy and discomfort, they're funny, sure, but they also make you wonder, is this really that far from reality? When the Lincoln Project places actual Trump quotes alongside exaggerated childish behavior, his real words end up sounding even more immature than before. It's like they found the perfect way to turn his own statements against him. One especially effective technique used by the Lincoln Project is to take Trump's well-known public displays of anger and frustration and exaggerate them just enough to seem absurd, while still keeping them recognizable. As one commentator said, these ads are both humorous and unsettling, making viewers question the reality of Trump's public persona and whether someone with this temperament should ever be near power again. The contrast between Trump's loud, red-faced outbursts and Melania's silent, frozen presence forms a disturbing family image. It's both funny and deeply sad, a caricature that feels just a bit too real. While he rants about minor slights, she stands motionless, as if she mentally checked out long ago. What gives these ads their power is how they only slightly exaggerate Trump's real public behavior. They take real moments, his complaints about crowd sizes, anger at negative press, or bragging about minor accomplishments, and push them just enough to make them absurd but still believable. The result is a portrayal that's over the top yet strangely accurate. The Lincoln Project doesn't only focus on Trump. They also target his billionaire associate. Their ads present Elon Musk as the ultimate tech bro stereotype, a man with more money than sense, casually buying a social media platform like someone grabbing a snack at checkout. These ads are blunt in their simplicity. Musk is shown as out of touch, floating in his own world while the Twitter bird, now X, goes up in flames beneath him. It's a clear visual metaphor, a billionaire obsessed with Mars and electric cars, ignoring the chaos on the platform he impulsively bought. What makes these portrayals effective is how they show Musk's apparent detachment from consequences. In one scene, advisors desperately try to warn him about real problems, rising hate speech, fleeing advertisers, user complaints, but Musk is too busy laughing at memes and posting random thoughts online. The ad creators understand something key about Musk. His online presence often seems more important to him than the business he's supposed to be managing. You almost feel sorry for him as the Lincoln Project mocks his awkward efforts to seem cool and relatable. They show him dancing at events and using slang that lands awkwardly, like a dad saying yeet at Thanksgiving. Meanwhile, Melania watches from the background, her blank expression seemingly judging the whole scene of two massive egos trying to outshine each other. The ads don't stop at Musk's awkward moments, they highlight his history too. Remember the robo-taxis that never came, Cybertruck delays, brain chips, and the Hyperloop? The Lincoln Project created a montage of these broken promises, each one punctuated by Melania's slow, blank stare. It's a visual way of saying, this guy's not delivering. And it hits hard, but maybe the most biting part of the ads is how they show the dynamic between Musk and Trump. The Lincoln Project paints it as the strangest bromance in politics, Musk seeking Trump's approval while Trump barely remembers who he is. Musk follows Trump like an eager puppy, sharing rockets and Twitter stats, while Trump pats him on the head and forgets his name. The satire works because it exaggerates real traits. Musk does seem to seek validation. He does react emotionally to criticism. He does make impulsive decisions with wide-reaching effects. By slightly amplifying these traits, the Lincoln Project turns Musk from a controversial billionaire into a comedic figure, a space cadet with too much money and not enough self-awareness. These ads understand that modern politics isn't just about policies, it's about personalities. By showing Musk as a socially awkward tech mogul seeking Trump's attention, they aren't just targeting one person. They're challenging the relationship between wealth, technology, and political power. They ask, should someone who bought a social media platform on a whim have this much control over our information systems? The portrayal is especially powerful because it highlights a contradiction. Musk calls himself a futurist, someone thinking about humanity's future. Yet the ads show him focused on likes and retweets, like a teenager.